It is Friday, September 15th, and the start of another book vlog. I just finished Bad Summer People by Emma Rosenblum. And this book takes place with a number of characters. Every chapter is from a different character's perspective. And I lost track of how many characters there are, but they all get their own chapters to tell their story. And they're all, for the most part, wealthy Manhattanites, and they summer on Fire Island. This is following all of their summers on Fire Island. And there are betrayals, deaths, affairs, and unfortunately, no really good characters, and by good I mean good people. None of them really are likable characters. They all do bad things in some way, are selfish, and despite them not being likable characters, I still enjoyed the story and wanted to see what happened. I did rate it 3 stars just because of the fact that there weren't really likable characters and there wasn't really a hero of the story, I guess you would say. So I did rate it 3 stars, but it did hold my interest. I did want to see what happened to these terrible people and how their summer progressed. So if you're just looking for a fun read, maybe you like books where everybody's not a good guy, this might be for you. But that is the latest, and I will be back soon with another book. It is Thursday, September 21st. I just finished an audiobook by Ashley Winstead, who is the same person that wrote In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and this one was called The Last Housewife. And I rated it 3 stars, not because it wasn't I don't want to say entertaining, not because it didn't hold my interest, but just because of the content that it had. I didn't feel right about giving it 4 or 5 stars. This is unlike any other book I've read, and it has a lot of disturbing topics, I guess would be the way I'd describe it. Also many trigger warnings, and so the main character is Shay, and we mainly follow her and her story, but through that we bring in other characters, and the array of topics are secret societies, cults, torture, suicide. So if any of that sounds like it would be not good for you, this is not a book for you to read. But I think because it was unlike anything else I've read, I kept wanting to read to find out what would happen. And there wasn't anything really like gross or gory or anything like that. I would just say it was disturbing in many ways. There's also brainwashing. And yeah, not the most happy or uplifting book, but I thought that she did a good job writing it, considering the difficult topics. And I can't say that I recommend it because it's got all of those themes, but if it sounds like something that you wouldn't mind and would be okay with, then maybe you want to check it out. I don't feel the need to read a lot of books like this. I will probably seek out, well actually I'm already reading something a bit lighter and happier, a little cozy mystery. So there you go. I guess look into it more if you're interested, but that's all I'm really going to say about it. And I will see you for the next book. It is Friday, September 29th. And I just finished reading Death by Chocolate Chip Cupcake by Sarah Graves, and this was the large print version because that's what my library had, so it has a little bit different cover than you might see elsewhere. But I heard someone talking about it on BookTube and it sounded interesting, so I thought I would check it out, especially because I was looking for some cozy mysteries for fall, and I guess this would be classified as a cozy mystery, but unfortunately it was not a book that I enjoyed. I really wanted to like it. I was forcing myself to read it to get through it, hoping that it would start to entice me and I would start to really like it, but that did not happen. So I rated it 2 stars, which I was conflicted about doing because I never like to give ratings that low, but when I really thought about it, the book didn't hold my interest. I was really reading it just to finish it, and I also found it hard to follow who all of the different characters were. And maybe it was just me, maybe I was having trouble focusing on it, I'm not sure, but there's just some books that grab my attention, keep my interest. I want to keep reading to know what happens. This one did not do that for me. I felt confused a lot of times. It didn't hold my interest, and I didn't find myself wanting to read it, more that I was just reading it to try to get it finished. So, and I know I could have probably just not finished it, but I like to give books a chance, and again, was hoping it would redeem itself, but unfortunately it did not. But to tell you a little bit more about it, in the beginning it reminds me a little bit of a Hallmark mystery movie, which I do enjoy those, because we have 2 women that work at a bakery in Maine, and they are working on trying to get more business throughout the off season. So they're trying to think of new things to release to entice pizza. So they're working on this chocolate pizza that they want to make to bring in more customers, when this old Hollywood famous person who's just bought this big estate in Maine comes in and wants them to cater her party. But there's a catch, because the party is very soon and she wants them to stay overnight at her new home, manor, or I forget exactly what they called it. And so because it's a lot of money that will help their bakery and will help them to sustain throughout the winter, they agree to it, even though they're kind of like, why does this lady want us to do overnight? But lots of things go down, lots of bad things happen. Again, I had trouble following all of it and all of the characters, but there's multiple murders, and yeah, once it got past the initial part of the book, I just felt a bit lost. So can't say this was one I'd recommend, unfortunately. I'm hoping to find another good cozy mystery that I'll enjoy, but that is all I have for that one for you. Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 10th, and I am very tired today. Did not sleep well last night, so you're getting real, authentic, tired me for this book update. But the book I just finished was a 5-star. The title is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell, and if you are a fan of the Great British Baking Show, then I think you would really like this book, because it is about a competition that is based off or similar to the Great British Baking Show, but they call it Bake Week, and it takes place in Vermont at a estate, but the baking competition part of it is all in a tent, just like on Great British Baking Show. We have our cast of characters who are all in the baking competition, all at varying levels of baking, different reasons for being there and for baking from different parts of the country. And then the 2 hosts, Betsy and Archie. Betsy is the creator of the show, I guess you could say, and has always been the host, but this year, to spice things up, they've brought in Archie, who was host of a different kind of competition reality show. And not only do we get to be part of the baking competition, see who gets kicked off, go through their baking process, there's a lot of other things that go on as well. There starts to be some mishaps with the baking, The bakers are confused by this because they are very meticulous in their planning, preparation, execution, and checking everything over. They begin to suspect sabotage, but they can't quite prove it or put their finger on it. They just kind of feel confused. And there are also murders and old family secrets. So it has a lot of stuff going on, but it kept my interest the entire time and kept me wanting to read more, which is why it got 5 stars. It is one that I would recommend to you, especially if you enjoy that show. I think you will like and appreciate it even better. Yeah, I got through it pretty quickly for me because I did enjoy it and wanted to keep reading. And I guess that's all. So let me know if you check it out, what you think of it. It's Tuesday, October 20th, and I just finished an audiobook by Karen Hamilton called The Perfect Girlfriend. And this was an interesting one, kept me engaged, kept me focused, so I was able to follow what was going on. It was also written a little bit differently in that it was from one person's perspective and kind of their inner thoughts, and occasionally they would have dialogue with other characters, but for the most part we were just hearing their thoughts and their view of things. That was interesting in part because you're hearing the thoughts and perspectives of somebody that's completely delusional and stalker, a bit crazy, I guess you could say. But the main character goes by a couple of different names because she ends up changing her name, but based off something that happened to her in high school or when she was younger, she kind of puts her whole life trajectory based on that couple of incidents when she was younger. And she has a boyfriend who she's been broken up with, but in her mind, they're meant to be together. The breakup is just a setback and he just needs some time, and they're just meant to be together, and she's going to make that happen no matter what she has to do. And it goes through kind of her ups and downs with that, her different various relationships, whether that be friendships or dating relationships, and she goes to great lengths to be with this person, including breaking into their apartment numerous times, getting a job where they work. So you're really seeing into the inner workings of a crazy, delusional person in this book. But it wasn't disturbing or scary or anything like that. It was just intriguing, interesting, what's with this person? But I enjoyed it. I rated it 3 stars, and I think the audiobook helped me to stay engaged with it because of the narrator. She had a British accent because I think the author's probably British, and the character's supposed to be British because it's set mostly in England. So that helped to keep me in the story as well. But if you're looking for kind of a suspenseful book, kind of a different perspective, then this might be one for you. And I'll see you soon with another book. It's Saturday, October 21st, and I finished another book. I actually finished it last night, but I was too tired to update you, so I'm doing it the next day. It was an ebook, and it was a cozy fall mystery called Murder at the Pumpkin Pageant by Darcy Hannah, and I ended up really enjoying this one. I rated it 4 stars. It's got all the fall Halloween vibes. Part of it takes place in Halloween. It's got small town feel and festivals, a bakery that's set in a lighthouse, or the bakery is located in the lighthouse. And so we have lots of yummy baked goods. They even had recipes for the baked goods at the end of the book. And of course, murder, ghosts, all that sort of stuff. Lindsay is the main character, and she has a very entertaining, cute dog named Welly, short for Wellington. And she is the owner of the bake shop. And she also has a best friend named Kennedy. And then there's a bunch of other cast of characters, you know, the local policeman and stuff like that. And then ones that come in from out of town. And they're having this pumpkin pageant, this kind of Halloween festival. But prior to that, strange things start happening on Lindsay's property. She finds like clowns and things hung up on her tree, and it's very bizarre, and she doesn't know who's doing it. And then that night of the event, they see another thing hanging, but it is someone who's actually been killed, not a prop or anything like that. And I don't want to give too much away and tell you who's killed or anything like that, but Lindsay is on the case, and her, with the help of a couple of dogs and her friend Kennedy, are able to figure things out, and not without their own trials and tribulations. But if you like cozy Hallmark mystery movies, I think you would like this book. Or just looking for a nice fall Halloween read that's not too scary or anything like that, then I think you would enjoy it. It is Wednesday, November 1st, and I finished another book. This is a book that's in a series, and it was the third part of a trilogy, and it's called The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I don't want to give too much of it away or tell you too much where it is the third in a series, because if you haven't read the first two, that won't do you much good and it might spoil things for you. But I did enjoy it. I rated it 5 stars. I enjoyed this entire series, but this one I also especially enjoyed and rated 5 stars. And again, without giving too much away, I'll say that if you like mysteries set in a big mansion that maybe involve inheritance, also that include games and puzzles and riddles, and possibly even a little romance, I think you would like this, because it's got kind of intrigue and makes you wonder, and I don't know, it kept my interest the whole time. I wanted to keep reading more to find out what happened, and a lot of times by the time I get to a third book in a series, I don't like it as much, or it doesn't hold me as much, but this one did. So it's a good trilogy to check out if you like those sorts of mysteries. I would recommend it. And I guess that's all I have for now, and don't know what I'm going to be reading next. But I only have 2 months left for reading this year, and there's still so much I want to get to, but one book at a time, I'm plugging my way through. So hope you're having a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. It is Sunday, November 12th, and I just finished an ebook called The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, who is 2 people. And I've read a few of their books now, and I've enjoyed every one of them. And this one was the same. I rated it 4 stars. And if you're into tropes, I would say it was a enemies to lovers trope, fake dating trope, all of that included in there. But we're following the main character of Olive, and Olive has a twin sister. I don't know if it's pronounced Amy or Ami. It's AMI, and she is getting married, and her sister seems to just be super lucky, whereas Olive finds herself to be the opposite and be kind of unlucky. But all that starts to change on her sister's wedding day when everyone gets sick from the buffet at the wedding, except for Olive, because she has an allergy, and Ethan, who is the groom's brother, because he's just very opposed to buffets and chose not to have it and got a plated meal. So they're the only two people at the wedding that didn't get sick. And whatever they came down with, I forget the exact name of it, lasted for weeks. So there was no way that, I'm just going to say Amy, was able to take her honeymoon to Hawaii. It was an all expenses paid honeymoon to Hawaii. And she can't go and she's going to lose out on it. So she tells her sister to go. But there is a catch in that she has to go with Ethan, the groom's brother, who Olive does not like at all. But not only does she have to go on the trip with him, she has to pretend to be married to him and pretend to be her sister, her twin sister, because it was only a trip for her sister. They wouldn't accept, replacements. So she has to pretend to be her sister. Ethan has to pretend to be his brother, even though they're not twins, he still pretends. And they take this honeymoon to Hawaii and have to pretend to be newlyweds when they don't even like each other. Lots of mishaps come up and occur, and I just found it to be a fun, entertaining story. I enjoyed those two characters and kind of their back and forth. And if you like chick lit or romance, I think that you would enjoy this one, and I recommend it to you. It's Monday, November 13th, and I just finished an audiobook called A Dark and Stormy Murder by Julia Buckley, and I rated it 3 stars. It was a cozy mystery, and I enjoyed this one this time. And I've never read anything from this author, and while the narrator wasn't necessarily my favorite narrator, she didn't bother me either. I did enjoy the story, and I was able to stay engaged with the story. We follow the main character, Lena London, who is an aspiring author, and due to a set of circumstances in terms of her friend knowing someone in her small town, she winds up going to work for one of her all-time favorite authors who she's idolized her whole life, and she goes to kind of ghostwrite for her, but also be her assistant, and the author insists that she stay with her at her estate, manor, or whatever you want to call it, while they work on her latest book. Because the author's getting older in age, she still has ideas for books, but could use a little bit of help in fine-tuning it. So Lena goes to stay with her, and when she does, she's very helpful with the book, but mysterious things, well, first off, there's a mysterious neighbor who everybody talks about. Of course, we have, like every one of these stories, the local police officer. One thing I did enjoy about the story is when Lena would describe her cat, because it sounded like a typical cat to me, and it was entertaining hearing what the cat got up to. And then the woman that she lives with has 2 dogs, who at first seem vicious, but Lena quickly wins them over. And so those were kind of just little entertaining bits of the story. But at one point there is a murder, and Lena kind of gets caught up in helping to figure it out, because don't want to give too much away, but there's lots of things intertwined and connections, and it was just a fun, entertaining, as it says, cozy mystery that I enjoyed, especially for this time of the year. So if you're looking for something like that, or if you like books about authors, then I think you would like it. And I guess that's all I have to say about it. But let me know what you're currently reading or what your favorite book for this season has been so far. And I will see you soon. It is Thursday, November 16th, and I've just finished another book. And it is The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. Forgive any clutter you might see behind me, but I grew up loving Britney Spears, have followed her throughout her career, and I got this as a birthday gift, and I will say it was quite a fast read for me. I did enjoy it. I rated it 4 stars, which is probably higher than a lot of people would have rated it, but it kept me engaged and interested, and I read it quite a bit faster than any other books I've read recently. But if you grew up when I did and you were a fan of Britney Spears, I think you would enjoy reading it. If you're not a fan of hers, you could still enjoy it, but I don't think you'd get as much enjoyment out of it. And it was just really interesting to hear her side of things and what she's gone through, not just during her conservatorship, but throughout her life, and the challenges that she faced, and really had a hard time of it for a good part of her life. But of course there were happy times, but a lot of it was not so good. So it was interesting to hear her perspective on that. But yeah, check it out if you're a Britney fan. I do think you would enjoy it. And I'm going to end this book vlog here because I know it's gotten toward the length I like to keep them, and I'm assuming I'll have maybe one more for you, and then end of year wrap up with my top books. So look forward to that. I do want to give you an update on my reading goal, because as you know, I made a goal of 52 books to read, a book a week basically, and I'm currently at 47 of 52 with about a month and a half to go. So it'd be great if I could finish them even earlier so that way I can do those videos for you, but we will see. Hopefully I will make it. But thanks for watching. Hope you found some good books to check out and read. Leave me your recommendations in the comments, and I'll see you soon.